Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Astyachari Shatharine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Astyachari Shatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhu Prem Hare Hare Om Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glorious to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tiname. Namaste Saraswate Devi. Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Sanyavadi. Pastachari Shatari. Panchakalpo Turubhyascha. Kripa Sindhu Vyagacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo. Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Oh, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is to everybody. Thank you for your association this morning. This special day. Every day is a special day if we remember Krishna. And very soon, of course, coming up next week is Julan Yatra. And also the appearance day of Lord Balaram. And Julan Yatra is a very wonderful festival. I hope that some or another you can all take advantage of this opportunity to be a little bit more personal in our Krishna consciousness, a little more conscious that the goal of our life is, after all, to serve or please Krishna, to remember Krishna, be absorbed in Krishna. Mamana bhava mat bhakto madhyajiman namastu. To always think of me and worship me, offer homage unto me, Krishna says. Of course, this can be taken on different levels of maturity in Krishna consciousness, but we should try to mature. So these festival days and these opportunities to focus our attention on the pleasure of Krishna are very important. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes them as mothers of devotion for those who observe these festivals. Just like every child needs a mother to nurture the child. And these festivals are considered to be like mothers of devotion. according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we should take advantage. We have our philosophy, which is like our father, spiritual masters and so on. But the festivals are the nurturing process for developing our Krishna consciousness, becoming conscious of Krishna. Tasmatsava. But in all one's activities, one should always be conscious of Krishna. These festival days, Julan Yatra, Balaram appearance day, etc., help us to develop this consciousness of Krishna. So today we're going. I didn't spend much energy to prepare. We're going to read where I'm reading at the moment in Chaitanya Bhagavat, by Vrindavan Das Thakur. We can read the Chaitanya Bhagavat verses which were commented upon. I will read not much of the commentary, a little bit, of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj on Chaitanya Bhagavat. He translated, he published the Chaitanya Bhagavat. It was already in Bengali. He published it with commentaries a long time ago, maybe 90 years ago or something. And that is available now in the English language. It was commented in Bengali. So I'm going to read from this translation of Chaitanya Bhagavat this morning. Before we do that, Chaitanya Bhagavat is considered to be by Kaviraj Goswami to be, the most authorized biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, particularly in his Navadvip pastimes, which are very sweet. And with Vrindavan Das Thakur being a disciple, considered himself the last disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. And there's a lot of, let's say, entry into the life of Lord Nityananda in order to approach Radha and Krishna, worship Krishna. One must go through Krishna, one must go through Radha in order to get Radha's mercy. We have to get her associates, the gopis, and her associates' mercy. In order to get their mercy, we have to get their representatives' mercy, particularly in Kali Yuga, this form of Radha and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has appeared, and his followers. We have to get their mercy. And to get that mercy with Lord Chaitanya, we have to get Lord Nityananda's mercy. Lord Nityananda Prabhu is the gateway to pure love of Godhead. Every field, every house has a gateway. So to the spiritual realm, Lord Vrindavan, the gateway is Lord Nityananda. And the key is his mercy. So with Balaram's appearance day coming up in a week's time more or less, Lord Nityananda being non-different, Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda are one and the same personality, just manifesting different relationships, different moods, etc. But Lord Nityananda is original, Lord Balaram. It's not that Lord Nityananda is an expansion of Lord Balaram exactly. They're eternally existing in the spiritual realm. But in the form of Lord Nityananda, in the form of Lord Balaram also, he's you could say the outer brother. Through him, one can approach Krishna. And through Lord Nityananda, one can get Lord Chaitanya's mercy. You go through. Lord Nityananda is represented by the Parampara, disciplic succession coming from Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, and then down from there. He's the Adi Guru, original Guru. So it just so happens, next week is Balaram's appearance day, so he is also Balaram. And he's the source of spiritual strength, which we all so much lack. So we should take shelter of Lord Balaram Lord Nityananda, in our devotional practices, remembering their mercy, even to follow the regulated principles, to overcome material desires, etc. We need the mercy of Nityananda. He has many expansions, Anantashesh, so many expansions are there of Lord Nityananda or Lord Balaram in order to please. He teaches the method of pleasing Krishna. Our tendency in this world is that we like to please ourselves, or what we think is ourselves. We're not really pleasing ourselves. We're pleasing our illusory concept of ourselves. We're trying to, not very good at it. We tend to be rather self-centered, egotistic. And the mercy of Lord Nityananda is that he frees us from this, which is really a real anartha, is seeing ourselves in the center and seeing everything around us in relationship to our concept of who we are, which isn't the correct one, and judging others and judging the world accordingly. Scriptures are there in order to give some framework to this conditional world that we live in, which will be a useful framework to help us to become, freed from the tabernacle or the trap of material existence, to protect us like a father protects. But the one thing to be protected is another thing to grow. So Lord Nityananda, being the ocean of mercy, the most merciful, this is the most merciful form of Godhead, you could say, is Nityananda Prabhu. He's freely giving that opportunity to nourish or to awaken the spirit of devotion through this process of Nam Sankirtan, preaching Krishna consciousness. He's you could say, the personification of the spreading of Krishna consciousness. We take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. And this morning we're going to sing a beautiful song compiled by Narottama Thakur, another follower of Nityananda, which is called Nitai Padakamalam. And I hope we can share it. My share screener is not with us right now. He's just come back. I'm waiting for you to come. Can we share screen, please? Just give us a second here so we can get Nityananda's association. I hope you can see it. If you can see it, please put your thumb up.
Might take a few seconds.
Okay, thumbs are going up. Fabulous, thank you. You may think, why today? I've already mentioned something why today, because I happen to be reading the chapter in Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is called, just give me a second, chapter 9 of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. The title of this chapter is Nityananda's Childhood Pastimes and Travels to Holy Places. So today we're going to hear, because by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, there is great benefit from hearing the pastimes of the Lord. There's a famous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, spoken by Srimati Radharani Tabakatamritam Tapti Jivanam. You may have heard this famous verse, Kavibir Ititam Kalma Shapaham Shravana Mangalam Srimanatatam Bhuvi Vinanti Bhuvi Janaha. And this verse, Radharani says, the nectar of your words and descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations transmitted by learned sages eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. And here's another quote which I'll just mention. It's also from Bhagavatam. For a person who is suffering in the fire of countless miseries and who desires to cross the insurmountable ocean of material existence, there is no suitable boat except that of cultivating devotion to the transcendental taste for the narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a famous verse spoken by Srila Prabhupada in terms of verses we should chant before we chant Hare Krishna. This is one of the ones he mentions. It may not seem immediately at first reading how it is related to the chanting of Hare Krishna directly, but it is a foundation, you could say, to our approach to serving Radha and Krishna. And Prabhupada said, this is the mission of the Krishna consciousness, to hear about Krishna, the mission of Krishna consciousness, to hear about Krishna and thus be liberated from material bondage. This is one of the main processes of cutting the knot. Sutta Goswami explains in Yadanijasna to karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovadas tasya kona kuryat kataratim. In the second chapter of Bhagavatam, that this is the process of cutting the knot of material attachment. Intelligent persons cut that knot by remembering the personality of Godhead, therefore who will not pay attention to his messages. So paying attention, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, when he was asked how do we cultivate, how do we grow in Krishna consciousness, he said, the devotee asked, we've been chanting for many years and hearing for many years. He said, because you're not attentive, he said, in your hearing and chanting, you're getting nowhere. He said it requires submissive, attentive hearing. And just by hearing the sound of the holy name, hearing Krishna Katha, one's heart becomes purified. But it's the quality of hearing. And this verse describes a little bit about that quality also. Nivitatarshi upagiyamana bhavashati chotamanopiramant kartumashloka gunapada Oman virajeta vinapashugnat. Very famous verse, which Prabhupada even quotes at the beginning of Krishna book. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. And that's a key factor, which fortunately we have the opportunity to have. Many times the glorification of the Lord is not in the Parampara system. It's somebody who's not necessarily connected, speaking from a professional speaker or some unconnected so-called guru, speaking pastimes and so on. It will not have the effect, because the effect is by Krishna's grace. It's when Krishna is pleased that he cleanses the heart of these dirty things in the heart. It's not that the activity itself cleanses the heart. It's the Lord's mercy that he cleanses our heart. So even hearing itself, it may be related, but it's not going to have the effect that proper hearing and chanting will have. It is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. So the idea is that we hear from those who are no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. They haven't got time to waste on talking about the passing clouds of material news and the never-ending traumas, especially in Kali Yuga, which people get caught up in. And they spend their energy, their consciousness is, say, focused on these unnecessary objects, and the next minute is another object. The idea is that we have to hear from someone whose consciousness is focused on Krishna and consequently on glorifying Krishna. And in their association, that can awaken a taste within us, even though we have we're covered, and we have no end illusory concepts and material desires, so many various, say, anarthas in our hearts. So if we hear from such persons who are no longer interested, those who are nivritta tarshir, they're released. They're not interested in this material world of trying to enjoy sense gratification. Their interest is in glorifying Krishna. We hear from them. No longer interested in descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. So is there anyone that we know who's not in that situation, condition soul, undergoing repeated birth and death. Practically speaking, everyone and everything that we have experience and remembrance of falls into that category. And only those pure devotees who are aloof or beyond this material conception, transcendental to it, are the only ones who can really help us. It's like if you're in a pandemic situation like we may be in now. Of course, nature has its way, but generally speaking, the doctors are the ones who are supposed to be curing us from our diseases, at least in principle. And if there's no doctors, because nature has its way and so on and so forth, but in the practical sense of the term, we could say there's a problem. If all the doctors suddenly resign from work, there would be a problem. And maybe 1 in 1,000 people is a doctor, I don't know. And in terms of the pure devotees, hardly 1 in 10, 110 billion, practically speaking. Maybe there are more, but we don't have access or not conscious enough to be aware of that. But they're very rare. Such a great soul is extremely rare, extremely. We take shelter of other persons who may be a little bit, seemingly a little bit more materially matured, or a little bit more, what we could say, a little bit more advanced spiritually. Maybe not. But we think like that because we don't have maturity, intelligence, or realization of what advanced devotees are. But when we get that opportunity to associate with them, then this is a great fortune. We should take advantage of it. And such personalities who are on that platform, we can develop this mood by following in their footsteps, of also trying to follow what their directions are, assist in their mission, etc., like Prabhupada's mission to preach and spread Krishna consciousness through book distribution, Harinam, Prasad, whatever other means we can apply in spreading the pure message coming from the pure devotee in disciplic succession, will be a great good fortune, because that will purify our consciousness and help us to come from a neophyte platform to a more mature platform. Therefore, who will cease hearing the glorifications of the Lord, except for a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Anyway, those are just always another interesting thing. Now, what we're going to hear in a few minutes, we're going to sing a song. After that, we'll hear some pastimes of Lord Nityananda in his childhood. And one of his favorite pastimes was drama. He'd love to reenact his own pastimes. One time, maybe some of the village members asked, how on earth does this young boy know all these pastimes? Because he would reenact the pastimes of Ram Lila, Vamadev, Bali Maharaj, Krishna Lila, so expertly, so completely, so perfectly, with all of his boyfriends. It was almost like as if it was happening all over again. Exactly. And they asked, how is this possible? And he said, oh, these are my pastimes. These are my pastimes. They're not something I've heard. These are my pastimes. So we can enter into those pastimes by the mercy of Nityananda, by hearing attentively. A little bit more than just hearing attentively. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, attentive hearing means applying what we hear. Sometimes we're good at repeating, sometimes. But we may not be so good at following, showing the example, practically applying in our lives. And this is how we could say we can enter into the family, the eternal family, Krishna. Goloka Vrindavan, whatever. Dham, one is fortunate to be able to enter into by hearing these wonderful pastimes from the right source. So we're going to sing this song now, I hope. And I don't know, there's something on the screen. I don't know what it is. Rasika, can you see the screen?
can just see a picture of Lord Nityananda and someone's drawn on it.
Somebody's drawn on it. I don't know how they do that. They're very clever.
Let me have a look.
I think someone did that once before, I remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't on airline, it was some other program I was doing. And some people were very expert at doing that. Yeah. They got nothing better to do with their lives, I guess. Maybe it's meant to be something good, I don't know. Anyway, you can still see. I guess it will be there when we go to the next screen. Go down. Okay. Yeah, it's still there. Maybe what to do. So I've done this again. Nitai Pada Kamala, the mercy. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are cooling like a million moons. This material wood is like a blazing fire of material existence. Samsara and Halalita Loka. And Lord Nityananda's cooling lotus feet can extinguish that blazing fire of material existence. So let us take shelter of Lord Nityananda's cooling lotus feet. Oh, I still think I want to hold me. Yeah. So this is a song, I hope you can see it. Teachings to the Mind by Narottama Thakur. Manashiksha. We usually call it Nitai Pada Kamala, but it's actually, interesting enough, it doesn't seem like it when we sing the song, but the essence of it, the meaning of this is teachings to our mind. In other words, to try to control our minds so the mind is not focusing, wandering onto unending subject matters, etc., out of control practically. And we'll read the translation first. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but of millions of moons. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha and Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his valuable human birth. Such a human being is actually an uncontrollable animal because he never uttered the holy name of Nityananda. He has become merged into so-called material happiness. What can his useless education and family tradition do to help him? Being maddened after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, oh, what is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he is accepting something false to be truth. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha and Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he is merciful toward you, then you will be able to approach Radha and Krishna. Therefore, you should firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact. One who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. This Narottama Das is very unhappy. Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. My dear Lord, please keep me close to your lotus feet. Jai. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. Nitai Pada Kamalam ki jai. So we'll try to sing this song, try to absorb ourselves in the lotus feet of Nityananda and pray for his mercy. It's not that Narottama Das is thinking, make me materially happy. Many people, they think it means, satisfy all my material needs. I will no longer suffer materially. He's talking in terms of real happiness. Real happiness cannot be found in this world. Real happiness is only when we're freed of this. There's the idea that we can find happiness in this material world. This is Dukkalayam Shashvatam. Dukkalayam, it's not meant as a place of happiness, and that's why living in the heavenly planets is not very favorable for Krishna consciousness, because it's too pleasing up there. You know, Earth planet, we have a good chance because it's kind of a mixed atmosphere, you know. We get a bit of pleasure. It's not that we're spending all of our time struggling, but there's a lot of, you know, frustration, anxiety, fear, and suffering, and so on. This earthly plane, and it's on this plane that we can, Lord Nityananda appears to draw our attention. So let's give our attention to Lord Nityananda's, meditate on his lotus feet. I hope my musician returns soon. I think he just disappeared to use the, you know, whatever you call it, conveniences. Nitai, Nitai pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Kushitala, Nitai pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Kushitala, Jai Jai Jagata Durai, Jai Jai Jagata Durai, Eno Nitai Binibai, Radha Krishna Taite Nai, Eno Nitai Binibai, Radha Krishna Taite Nai, Dita Kori Daho Nitai Pai, all together. Dita Kori Daho Nitai Pai, Se Sambandha Nahi Jai, Kritatana Kelota, Se Sambandha Nahi Jai, Kritatana Kelota, Se Pashu Ba Doraka, Se Pashu Ba Doraka, Nitai Nabalilo Matilo samsara suke, Nitai na bolilo muke, Matilo samsara suke, Ejakule kikore ta, Vidya Kule Kikori Nitai Padapasariya Aham Kale Mataya Nitai Padapasariya Asatyere Satyakori Mani Asatyere Satyakori Mani Nitayera Karunave Raje Radha Krishna Pave Nitayera Karunave Raje Radha Krishna Pave Dara Nitai Charana Dukkani Dara Nitai Charana Dukkani Nitaya Charana Satya Tahara Sevaka Nitya Nitaya Charana Satya Tahara Sevaka Nitya Nitai Para Sarako Nitai Para Sarako Now I'm going to sing the last line twice. What it means I'll sing it all the way through, not in two sections as we've been doing. Narottama Bharasuki Nitai Mare Korasuki Dakoranga Charanera Narottama Bharasuki Nitai Mare Korasuki Rakoranga Charanera Here we go back to the first line again. Back to it. Nitai Parakamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Jayai Jagata Purai Nitai Parakamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Jayai Jagata Puraya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Ram, 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 Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Ram. Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Ram. Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Ram. Shri Nityananda Ram ki jai. So for a little while we'll just read from the wonderful nectarian Chaitanya Bhagavat. Srila Prabhupada one time, actually, he discussed, should he translate or should he present Chaitanya Bhagavat first or Chaitanya Charitamrita? He wanted both. And the devotees were with, I think, Rameshwar. Prabhupada would probably done it anyway, but he said Chaitanya Charitamrita because he knew that Srila Prabhupada really, really relished Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a nectarine in his life, Prabhupada said. When he was crossing the Atlantic, he said, "This is my life, my solace. Solace, this Chaitanya Charitamrita." So we're reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is also, it's, what can we say? There's different angles of the same transcendence. Jai Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Kripa Sindhu Jai Jai Nityananda Agatira Bandhu. All glories to Shri Krishna Chaitanya, who is an ocean of mercy. All glories to Shri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the friend of those who are ignorant of the goal of life. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jivanadana Pran Jaya Srinivasa Gadadhara Nidhan. All glories to he who is the life, wealth, and soul of Shri Advaita Chandra. All glories to he who is the shelter of Srivas and Gadadhar. So now let us please hear attentively these pastimes of Lord Nityananda. Jaya Jagannatha Sachi Putra Vishwambar Jaya Jaya Bhaktavinda Priya Anuchar. All glories to Lord Vishwambar, the son of Sachi and Jagannath. All glories to the devotees who are the beloved associates of the Lord. Purve Prabhu Shri Ananta Chaitanya Jai Radhe Avatirnai Achena Nilaya. On the order of Lord Chaitanya, Shri Ananta Dev had already appeared in Radhadesh and was engaged in various pastimes. We hear Shri Ananta Dev here. This means Lord Nityananda. Hato Ojanami Pita Mata Padmavati Eka Chaka Name Ram Godadeshvara Yati. His father's name was Hadai Oja, and his mother was Padmavati. Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared in the village of Ekachakra as the Lord of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says that Sri Nityananda Prabhu destroys the living entities and anarthas, or unwanted things, and awards to the Gaudiyas the supreme destination of service in the pure transcendental rasa of Vatsalya, Sakya, and Dasya. Next verse. Shishu haite sustira subudhi gunavan jinina kandarpakoti lavanyaradham. From his childhood, Lord Nityananda was sober, intelligent, and the abode of all good qualities. His charming loveliness defeated that of millions of cupids. Sevaite Varihaila, Stavasu Mangal, Durbiksha, Daridriya Dosha, Kandila Sakal. The entire district of Radhadesh was filled with auspiciousness and devoid of famine and poverty from the time of his birth. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj writes on the appearance of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the absence of kirtan and destitution in the form of materialistic pride were destroyed, and the chanting of Krishna's holy names and the propensity for his service were awakened in the hearts of people. The effect of Lord Nityananda's association, destroying pride. Pride is, practically speaking, in its broadest sense of the meaning, is our greatest anartha. Pride, which is non-different from seeing ourselves in the center and self-centered, selfish, etc., has to be destroyed. This pride is something which doesn't go away so easily, even in maturing stages of devotional service. The challenge or the presence of pride can be very detrimental to our further progress. And we can read in the teachings of Raghunath Das Goswami, also similar to the mind, how this pride is just like, I can't remember the exact term, the urine of a hog or something, donkey, some horrible.
Shameless dog-eating prostitute.
Shameless dog-eating prostitute. There you go. A shameless dog-eating prostitute. Can we imagine? And so, such a heavy, and it appears to be our friend. It appears to be, justification for our angles of whatever we want to call it, manipulation or something like that. But it's nothing but a shameless dog-eating prostitute. We're embracing such a shameless dog-eating, pretty heavy words. But we get the idea how strong it can be. We're so arrogant and argumentative, defensive, duplicitous, all kinds of, let's say, various manifestations of pride tend to appear whenever situation evokes them. We don't take shelter of Krishna in humility. So therefore humility and Lord Nityananda is the, you could say, by his mercy this pride can be destroyed and genuine humility may start to manifest. We can see this in the case of Jogai Madai, for instance, many other similar incidences in Nityananda's Leela. We will, and of course the most important thing here, the absence of kirtan was there, and Lord Nityananda awoke the kirtan ras, which is actually through kirtan ras one can attain any of the various stages of pure devotional service if we follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda and his followers in the performance of kirtan. And then the actual propensity, which is dormant in our hearts, it can be awoken. We'll go on to the next verse. Ye dine janmila navadvipe gora chandra vaditaki unkara kalila nityananda. The day that Lord Gaurachandra appeared in Navadvip, in Radhadesh, Lord Nityananda roared loudly. I'll read that again. The day that Lord Gaurachandra appeared in Navadvip, in Radhadesh, Lord Nityananda roared loudly. Now, if you've been to Ekachakra or if you've been to Navadvip, they're not that far away, but by going by road transport, it takes quite a number of hours to reach. It's not a walking day for sure. I don't know how many kilometers away, maybe 100 kilometers, I'm not sure. But it's quite a distance away. And Lord Janananda, on the moment that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Nimai Pandit Vishvambar Gaurahari appeared in the home of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Lord Nityananda at that very moment roared so loudly that Ananta Brahmanda Vyapta Haila Hunkari Modarkata Murchagata Hailayena Sakala Sansari. His roar spread throughout innumerable universes, and people of the entire world were practically rendered unconscious. And this is something we can not really conceive of. Such a sound that renders practically knocks everybody out. People, sometimes, rightly so, devotees complain about the high pitch of the kirtan in the temple sometimes, or the crashing of dungas or jumbes or wampers or something or another, making a tremendous sound which practically deafens some people. Many devotees can't take it. So that's another thing. But here we find innumerable universes were practically they deafened but made unconscious by the tumultuous roar. We hear in the Bhagavad Gita the tumultuous conch shells of the various warriors blown before the battlefield, especially when the Pandavas and Krishna himself blew their conches. It shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. Even though they had on their own side, their conches were so powerful. I think the loudest recorded sound, I may be wrong, but that I remember, because it's going back in memory here, in the last few centuries on the Earth planet was the volcanic explosion of Krakatoa, which was a volcano that suddenly exploded in the ocean of Indonesia. And it's said that the explosion took place in Indonesia, but people in South America heard it. It was so loud. I don't think we can imagine such a loud sound at this present moment, but it must have been pretty loud. But that was nothing compared to the roar of Nityananda. They say, it's understood that the blowing of the conch shell, loud blowing of the conch shell, destroys sinful reactions. So what to speak of the loud roar of Lord Nityananda? Some people said it was a thunderbolt, while others thought it was a great calamity. We hear a large noise sometimes. We think how terrible calamity is taking place. If you've ever been in an earthquake, there's oftentimes an enormous crack when it takes place. Several times experienced that. Simultaneous with a shaking, there's an enormous crack, like a bomb going off. Boom. Quite scary. Other people said, we know the cause. It was the loud roaring of that Nityananda Goswami, the Lord of the Gaudiyas. Some people knew what it was. In this way, the people had different opinions about what had happened, but no one could recognize Lord Nityananda due to the influence of his illusory energy. Yes, he's also, in one sense, he's the master of Maya, because all the expansions of the Lord in terms of Purusha avatars, even in the Chaturvyuha, and even Lord Shiva and Vishnu, the various illusory energies in certain ways, although they do come from, let's say, the Shakti Tattva, but in one sense they're consorts, the consorts of Lord Nityananda. There is energies, because all these expansions come from Lord Balaram. Even Jiva Tattva, expansion of Lord Balaram. So in that way, he's in a sense the source of even the illusory aspect of creation. Nityananda remained hidden, and as he enjoyed childhood pastimes with the other children. The pastimes that the Lord enjoyed with his childhood friends were all related to the activities of Lord Krishna. Unlike in our unfortunate modern age, so to speak, where most children, even devotee children, are completely absorbed in rubbish, literally rubbish. We were also in a sense, but it's natural that children want to play. It's natural. But the type of play nowadays has become even further away from humanity. All these things on mobile phones and what other gadgets they have, play games and whatever. All making sure that the living entity becomes entrenched in material existence, or influencing the child in that way, at least. There's at least not institutionally, very much effort to give the soul, newborn child, the opportunity to hear Krishna consciousness in a way which is relevant to their stage of growth. And Nityananda, when we were children, perhaps some of you online were also living in a more natural environment. I wouldn't say natural, but more natural. In terms of, we were not exposed to televisions and mobiles and all these other electronic gadgets, etc. We just had to find something to do. So we would play in the trees or in the mud and so on, and sport and so on and so forth. A little bit closer to the normality of human society, a little bit. But Nityananda's perfection, his childhood of perfection, of course, his original guru, so even in his childhood pastime, perfection, all of his pastimes, as we say here, in relationship to Krishna, all in relation to Krishna. Sometimes at school we do some, Christian drama or something, which was good, something at least reminding us of something to do with the spiritual aspect of life. But most even the dramas or the plays were all mundane, very mundane. Enacting dramas, which Lord Nityananda did of all these pastimes, is one of the ones. Can I just go over like this? Yeah, okay. As we see in the 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and when the Lord's addressing Uddhava there, Uddhava Gita, he says, "My dear Uddhava, narrations of my pastimes and qualities are all auspicious and purify the entire universe. A faithful person who constantly hears, glorifies and remembers such transcendental activities, who through dramatic performances relives my pastimes, beginning with my appearance, and who takes full shelter of me, dedicating his religious, sensual and occupational activities for my satisfaction, certainly obtains unflinching devotional service to me, the eternal personality of Godhead." It's interesting that Krishna says, through dramatic performances, relive my pastimes. And so, interesting. Drama is not just a fun and games activity, some skit that everyone laughs at, or some stupid presentation. Dramatic performances are very deep and very serious business. And as Prabhupada himself said when he was a young child at school, he played the role of Advaitacharya, and they rehearsed for years before they went on stage. They didn't just come on stage and make a fool of themselves. They rehearsed for years, and he said the audience, a large audience, when they finally performed, he was a schoolboy, when they finally performed, he said the whole audience was crying. The emotion, they were entering into the pastime, into the mood, etc. Because the actors were living that mood. They were trained to live the part, not just repeat it or whatever, compromise it, but to live the part. The dramas are a very important and powerful way of absorbing our consciousness in Krishna Lila, or Chaitanya Lila, or whatever Lila it is. Sometimes devotees remember a really well-presented drama for decades. And I remember that amazing drama I saw in 1975, like that, It just sticks. Is a special, for Kali Yuga, in any Yuga really, but particularly, that's why Lord Nityananda, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, performed dramas, which they could do spontaneous dramas because they were their own pastimes. We're not on the spontaneous platform, therefore we have to practice. The spontaneous platform is ultimately inspired by the Lord. But on the practicing stage, which we're on, we have to practice dramas also. It should be such that the audience remembers Krishna. They don't forget what they've received. Maybe there may be instructions in drama, but maybe pastimes or both, etc., etc. It's something that will go into the heart of the hearer. We'll go on. He and his friends formed an assembly of demigods, and one of them, acting as Mother Earth, offered prayers to them. They then led Mother Earth to the riverbank, and the children all began to offer prayers. Then one of the boys, hidden from view, loudly declared, "I will soon take birth in Mathura, Gokul." So you can understand that they're reenacting the pre-birth of Lord Krishna in this world. The demigods, Bhumi and the demigods, were appealing to Lord Brahma, who then they all went to the ocean of milk, and there they meditated and prayed to Lord Vishnu, who then verbally said that he will soon take birth. One evening, the Lord and his friends enacted the marriage of Vasudeva and Devaki. Then late one night, while everyone slept, they made a prison and enacted the birth of Lord Krishna. They created a Gokul, and Krishna was taken there and exchanged with Mahamaya, thereby tricking King Kamsa. They were doing all these things, and they were enjoying it like anything. Such fun. Such fun. What to do? We're living in a society now that it's not very easy. We're living in probably called a pigeonhole in some city somewhere, called an apartment in a condominium building or something. There was some one time called it the pigeonhole. And most people are living in such situations in the city, at least. You may be lucky to have a house with a garden somewhere, but most people nowadays don't even have that. It's so unfortunate to do. Another time they dressed someone as Putana, and someone climbed on her chest to suck her breast. One day, okay, that's interesting because we know, probably you've heard, Putana, Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes how all these demons who appear to attack Vrindavan are actually personifications of various anarthas. And by their being killed by Krishna or Balaram, those anarthas, if we hear those pastimes attentively, carefully, faithfully, our anarthas, those particular anarthas can be destroyed. And Putana particularly represents the false guru. When a child is born in this world, immediately the false guru overwhelms the child with a bodily concept of life. it's rare that a child is born in a Krishna conscious environment with the kirtan going on and the devotees and so on and so forth. Mostly they're born in a materialistic environment based upon the bodily concept of life. And from birth, a child is trained to identify with the body as itself, which naturally as a child, the child will think like that, but the education or the environment should be such to help the child to realize they're not this body, they're a spirit soul, and ultimately a servant of Krishna. So Putana is a false guru who kills the opportunity of the living entity's spiritual growth. And there are so many Putanas in the world. In the guise, he came in the guise of a goddess of fortune, practically. They come in the guise of gurus and sadhus and this thing and that thing, false religionists, etc. Bogus philosophers. The whole world is full of it. And practically everyone is poisoned by Putana. And so it's kind of an allegorical also, as well as an actual pastime, indicating the situation of most unfortunate children who are born in this world, into the world of illusion, and not given the chance to wake up. So this pastime of the killing of Putana is to give us a chance to wake up, to kill this anartha. So this was enacted by Nityananda Prabhu. One day Nityananda and his boyfriends made a shakata, or a handcart, out of reeds and then broke it. So this is the Shakatasura of the pastime of Krishna, being placed there by Mother Yasoda under that cart, that Shakata. It was an asura in subtle form residing in that cart, and his intention was to crush. He entered in because Mother Yasoda put baby Krishna under the cart, so the demon entered into the cart, and his intention was to crush baby Krishna, which he tried to do, but he was thwarted by Krishna. Again, it was Krishna's lotus feet that, of course, acted and pushed the wheel, and the cart collapsed, but it collapsed away from Krishna. And instead, the demon was killed. Krishna said, nobody can defeat Krishna. Ajita is unconquerable. Another day, the Lord and his friends stole from the houses of the neighboring coward men. The boys never left Lord Nityananda's association to go home, but continued sporting with him day and night. The children's parents did not complain, rather they would affectionately embrace Nityananda. Unlike in the material world, when sometimes these things go on, in the material world it brings distress or anger or something on the spiritual plane, it enriches it, it nourishes the ecstatic relationships which are there of the devotees with Lord Nityananda. They feel more ecstatic. They're so happy that he's stealing their butter or whatever they're stealing from their homes. And they said, we have never seen such transcendental sports. How does this child know so many of Krishna's pastimes? One day the Lord made snakes out of leaves and then took his friends to the water. We're here about Kalya Lila. Only pastime, which is interesting to know. But it said that they performed, it wasn't a sport that Lord Chaitanya, we were also reading about Lord Chaitanya's childhood pastimes the other day. There wasn't a sport that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't play. So if you're a sport freak, you can remember that Krishna is also, but on the transcendental platform, not with the spirit that we try to enjoy for ourselves, different activities like this. But Krishna himself, they even played, I was reading just yesterday, I think, they were playing football with bale fruits and amalaki fruits. They didn't use leather balls. They used certain fruits which also served the purpose. What type of football, I don't know. Probably different to the one we're familiar with. But they were playing like this. It's natural for young boys. If we remember these pastimes of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu playing these sports, it can help free us from this addiction. We have some kind of addiction to these things. They probably had some kind of cricket also with pale fruits, maybe also, I don't know, some hard fruits. One of them jumped into the water and remained there inert. Later, the Lord brought him back to consciousness. Another day, the Lord and his friends went to Talavan, where they killed Dhenukasura and then ate the tala fruits. It's actually great fun. And if anyone's here from, like Rasika's here, but he wasn't around then, from New Zealand, you may remember, I think it was the year 2000, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe it was, I can't remember. Maybe it was 96. But it was some anniversary, maybe 96, the 100th anniversary of Prabhupada appearance. We enacted, maybe, anyway, it was sometime. We enacted, it probably wasn't that one, but we enacted these things. We selected various areas of the property. Here is, Kalia Rada, the lake of Kalia. There's a little lake kind of off the track, this little grove of trees. Another forest where there's orchard, that was Talavan. Another place was Gokul, different areas of the farm. And we went round and reenacted all the pastimes in these various places as best we could. It was such an enlivening experience, and everyone was very enlivened by this, entering into these paths. We may not be qualified to enter into reality, but entering in terms of remembrance, at least, age, growth. Another day, the Lord and his friends went to Talavan, where they killed Dhenukasura and then ate tala fruits. That's one of Nityananda's personal pastimes. Nityananda and his childhood friends went into the fields and enjoyed various pastimes, such as the killing of Bakasura, Agasura, and Bapsasura. In the afternoon, the Lord and his associates returned home, blowing buffalo horns. One day they enjoyed the pastimes of lifting Govardhan Hill, and another day they created a Vrindavan, wherein they enjoyed various sports. One day they enacted Krishna's pastimes of stealing the gopis' clothes, and another day they enacted his meeting the wives of the Brahmins. On one occasion, a boy dressed as Narada with a beard and gave Kamsa some confidential information. This is one of the contentious points. Does Narada Muni have a beard, or does he not have a beard? Does Advaitacharya have a beard or not a beard? Sometimes these discussions go on. They can do what they like. They can have a beard or not have a beard. It depends.
And cut it, you will grow again.
You cut it and it'll grow again. It's like, they're eternally with and they're eternally without. It depends what pastime they're performing. Another day, one boy dressed as a Krura and took Krishna and Balaram to Kamsa's capital. As Nityananda cried in the mood of the gopis, it appeared to his friends that a river was flowing from his eyes. And Nityananda also has his part. Anangamanjari is actually an expansion or another form of Nityananda Prabhu, Radharani's younger sister. Another aspect of having to go through Nityananda even to reach Madhurya Ras. He's also the gateway there to Radharani giving permission for the living entity, or giving as the entrance to the living entity into whatever rasa it is. You have to get Nityananda's tick. Due to the influence of Vishnu's illusory energy, no one could recognize Nityananda as he enjoyed pastimes with his friends. He was enacting in such a way, sometimes in dramas we do also, not me, but other devotees. You can't recognize who's playing the part. And that's usually because of the dress that they're wearing or the wig that they're wearing. But in this case, it's not necessarily because of that. It's because of the mood. It's a much deeper. The spiritual world is based on mood. It's not based on putting on some artificial show. It's the mood automatically manifests the appropriate form, dress, etc., according to the mood, according to the pastime. It's not you have to go to the shop and buy some outfits and put on some makeup so you look like the part. Automatically, because it's a loving exchange, it automatically manifests. So Lord Nityananda was just like that. I couldn't recognize who he was. He was playing that part. However, Balaram or the gopis or whatever party's drama needs. The children arranged the city of Mathura and then wandered through the streets. Someone played the role of a gardener, and someone accepted a flower garland from him. Someone dressed as Kubja, and sandalwood pop was accepted from her. A large bow was made. They all shouted in joy when it was broken. They enacted the pastimes of killing the Kuvalai elephant and the wrestlers, Janura and Mushtika. Thereafter, Kamsa was grabbed by the hair and thrown to the ground. After killing Kamsa, the Lord danced with his friends in such a way that everyone watching began to laugh. In this way, Nityananda and his friends imitated the pastimes of the various incarnations. And we could go on and on, but it's already 10:30 in our time, so I'm going to finish there. It's there's so many more blissful little, you could say, synopsis of these dramatic performances, which remind us of Krishna's pastimes, Krishna and Balaram's pastimes in Vraj. So this is the way we absorb our hearts in remembering Krishna. It's like the only panacea, as we heard earlier on, for those suffering in this material world is Krishna Katha. There is no other solution. You can take a vaccine, you can take some tablets, you can take therapy, you can do whatever you like, whatever helps. But ultimately it's all useless unless the medicine of Krishna Katha is there. It's Shrama Evi Kevalam. No point. If it helps us to perform Shravanam, Kirtan, and Vishnu, then it's God who's there. Otherwise it's useless, waste of time. Just to defend our pride and our illusion, we do so many things. We want to get free of that. We don't want to embed ourselves further in the entangling snares of material existence. So Krishna Katha is the medicine to cure us of this disease, as Nityananda Prabhu and his associates are personally showering on the world by personally performing these pastimes in Ekachakra, Krishna Lila, so we can hear them and remember them in our hearts. So I'm going to finish there, and thank you all very much. If there are any questions, please feel free to do so. Any comments? This is, if you can see it, this is the second volume of Chaitanya Bhagavat. That's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there with the Digvijay Pandit. On the bank of the river Ganges. Thank you. Those who have Lord Nitai deities in their homes can take their shelter by worshipping, servicing them on a daily basis. How would the others be able to take their shelter? What practical service and activities would that be? Huh? Yeah, not difficult, is it? Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made everything very, very simple in this age of Kali. How can we take, well, as we heard earlier on, the guru, representative, the disciple succession is also form of Lord Nityananda, Adi Guru. So through the Guru, Lord Nityananda is actually showering his mercy. The instructions that the spiritual master gives, general or specific, are the mercy of Nityananda. So by following those instructions, one will get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. How form that in mercy comes will vary from individual to individual, depending on their various conditioning and their maturity in spiritual life. Now, the practical or the general shower of mercy, which Lord Nityananda has manifested, is through the performance of Nam Yogya, Nam Sankirtan, the Yogya of Nam Sankirtan. This is the Kali Yuga, which we're in, and Kalardoshan Deva Janastikam Ham Kirtanade Eva Krishna. This is the medicine for this age, which Lord Chaitanya, of course, revealed, and Lord Nityananda carried that revelation rather, in a form of a revolution, for us to, we should revel in that revolutionary revelation of Nama Sankirtan. And this way Krishna will reveal everything by the mercy of Nityananda through Harinam Sankirtan and all the various expansions of the Sankirtan, but basically by the performance of Sankirtan, chanting the holy names of Krishna, Radha Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On a specific platform, if you don't have Nitai deities, you just have a picture of the Panchatattva. And to the picture of the Panchatattva, you sing the holy names. Don't forget to start off with Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. It's become an unfortunate habit that many devotees, because they don't know, go straight into chanting Hare Krishna. That's fortunate they're chanting Hare Krishna. It's unfortunate we're not taking full advantage of the opportunity to chant Hare Krishna, because the chanting of Hare Krishna is not just a tune. It's not just something which I like doing. It's not just something which sounds nice. It's not just something that's going to make me feel good or whatever. It's their eternal business. But in order to come to that platform, Shuddha Nam, pure chanting, and when we look at our hearts, we understand that there are many motivations there which are not pure, many desires which are not pure. So we have to go through the Panchatattva. By their grace, especially Nityananda, this is the form of Lord Chaitanya. This age, he's Dharya Dong, or something. This is the place of mercy. And he gives it, even though we are carrying all this heavy baggage of conditioning, if we somehow or other humbly approach the Panchatattva with their merciful, say, whatever we want to call it, merciful blessings, that we can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. With it, we are committing offenses, but that those offenses will not be taken into account, or that they will be, let's say, they will not impede our chanting of the holy names. And so it's by the mercy of the Panchatattva. So you have a picture of Panchatattva and you sing the kirtan in front of the picture of Panchatattva or Gaur Nitai, and you take that mercy. It's said that Lord Nityananda's mercy is given to those who preach, particularly those who spread the Sankirtan and preach and we need Lord Nityananda's mercy in order to get ultimately Radha and Krishna's entry into the Radha Krishna's pastimes, for sure. But Lord Nityananda gives his mercy to one who shows mercy to the Jagas and Madhais. I can't remember if this is a statement of Vrindavan Das Thakur. I read it in one of the biographies of Lord Nityananda, or Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. To those who preach to the Jagais and Madhais, get the mercy of Nityananda. Don't be a miser, otherwise you'll be miserable. We have to preach this message as well as try to enjoy it, you could say. We have to share it with others. Prabhupada said, if you don't do that, you'll start feeling envious of others. Preaching is the essence of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Although, of course, on a higher level, we could say there's an internal aspect, but in terms of reaching that internal aspect, preaching is the essence, spreading Krishna consciousness to others. So that way you can do, whether you have no deities, no nothing, wherever one is, one can try at least some degree, whatever method it is, to share Krishna consciousness with others. If you can't do anything else, then just chant Hare Krishna. First chant Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, etc. First Guru, then Gauranga. Guru Gauranga means first we approach the Guru, then we approach Gauranga, then we approach Radha Krishna. Can't approach Radha and Krishna first. Always chant the names of Guru Gauranga or Panchatattva. Prabhupada has written about this on several occasions in purports of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So take this on. Another one. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Somebody there. Somebody wants to speak? Yeah, but not right now. Maybe afterwards. Okay. Anything else? Somebody is typing here. This is kind of off the general. Huh? Can you tell more about Narottama Das Thakur's role to explain the glories of Lord Nityananda? Well, Nitai, Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. That you don't have to forgive me, but I haven't been very communicative the last month or two. I don't have internet down in the hut. I don't have mobile down in the hut. I'm living in hut. Rasikananda knows what it's like living in the hut. He also lives in the hut in New Zealand. He lives in a town called Lower Hutt. But there they do have internet. Where I'm staying in the hut in New Mayapur, we don't have any reception on internet or mobile, at least on mine. I don't have anything. So I've been a bit low on communication the last month or two. Lord Narottama Das, well, he's the embodiment of Kirtan Ras. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deposited his Kirtan Sankirtan Prema in the river Padma, and he was reserved there when Narottama took bath in the river Padma, and he told the Padma River to give this Sankirtan Prema to Nityananda to Narottama Das when on this particular, well, Nityananda actually in the dream, Nityananda appeared in his dream and told him to go down to the river Padma to take bath, and then he received the Prema, the Sankirtan, Prema Sankirtan, the Ras. Chaitanya said, I'm leaving this Prema, which comes from the Sankirtan movement, to be given to Narottama Das. So he's a personification of Prema Sankirtan. The highest form, you could say, what can I say, highest form of devotional service in a sense, but of Sankirtan, Prema Sankirtan, any age, any time, any place. This is the eternal nature, the eternal associates of the Lord, always absorbed in Prema Sankirtan, all together. The Sankirtan may not take the same form that it may be in our understanding. It takes the form. Ultimately, Sankirtan means existence, simply conscious existence for the pleasure of satisfying the inner heart of the Lord. Whatever the Lord wants immediately. It's not we're going out to make a show to try to impress the Lord. One becomes simply a limb, in a sense, an instrument. And Narottama is a perfect example. His kirtan was completely pleasing to the Supreme Personality of God, and consequently to everyone who had the opportunity to associate with him. Every moment was absorbed in kirtan in various forms. And he specifically performed Sankirtan, different forms of kirtan, different styles of kirtan. But the styles and the forms were all exactly according to the appropriate mood which satisfied the Lord's heart. This is the nature of pure kirtan. We may be thinking now how to satisfy ourselves, how to satisfy the audience, and then a little bit more how to satisfy Srila Prabhupada. And maybe ultimately then, of course, it won't be how to, it will be satisfying to. It won't be how to do it, it will be on that. When one comes to the spontaneous platform, it's automatic, it's not a question of how do I, there's nothing else. It's one's existence is simply satisfying to the Lord. The more we're practicing. So we hear from the pure devotees how to perform Sankirtan. It's not just an exhibition, because we attract people with our voice or with our tunes or musical instruments or whatever. In the beginning, that may be natural, like a child growing up likes to show off. But in the mature stage, it shouldn't be like that. We should be being inspired more and more and more by the pure devotees of the Lord, not by our own egotistical experiences. And Narottama Das is our Kirtan Guru in one sense, and disciplic succession coming down to the present day through Narottama, Prema Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. And where are we now? Maybe that's it. No, there's somebody, no. So next week, Lord Balaram's appearance day. Julan Yatra, maybe a few other days in midnight. I haven't looked at the calendar. I think there's a few other special days coming up too. Take advantage of these days, which are Madhavatiti, Bhakti Janani. Bhakti, we know Thakur sings, they are mothers of devotion for those who observe them. But take advantage of these loving mothers. They want to give their milk to us. Take advantage of it. This nourishing milk which will revive us. We're starving in this world. Trying to get some relief from garbage. You know, it's like people who are beggars, they have to get their food in the garbage. Crows, don't remain a crow or a mundane beggar. We should take the sweet milk given to us by the Lord and his devotees, instead of trying to find some pleasure in the garbage of this world. What to do? Don't know anything. When people know nothing else, they think, oh, this is nice garbage. My garbage is better than your garbage. Oh, my garbage is much prettier than yours. Because we, relatively speaking, don't see it like that, but that's in reality the situation. It's Krishna's energy, so it can be transformed into spirit. If we see it as our energy, then basically speaking, we're just drinking poison or just eating garbage, hearing garbage. But because of illusory energy, we think, oh, it's so nice. Just like the worm in a stool thinks, oh, this stool is so nice. The hog thinks, oh, nice, soft, hot, fresh stool. How lucky I am today. Just out of the oven, straight out of the oven, fresh stool. Very nice. You know, I mean, abominable, but I mean, to a hog, it's like that. I mean, the type of things we get pleasure out of in many cases are quite abominable. All cases in one sense. Or they're stupid, foolish. Question. What kind of kirtan melodies did they sing when Lord Chaitanya was present? Oh my goodness. I don't know. They sang whatever melody was pleasing to the Lord. I don't know, whatever. It was just spontaneous. I have no idea. But we do know that through Damodar, the Lord's chief assistant, secretary, and kirtan leader, was simply dancing and singing according to the heartbeat of the Lord. So as we have musical beats, and they're all descending ultimately from whatever the heartbeat of the Lord is, they're descending from that, his mood, his inner feelings. So all the tunes, and rhythms, and notes, everything were exactly compatible with the beat of the Lord's heart, whatever that was. It could be anything. We can't imagine. I'm not a musician in reality of any kind, but there are just so many. There's a great science, the science of raga, the science of musical combinations, etc., all of which were perfectly manifested in the performance of Sankirtan by the Lord's pure devotees. And pure kirtan is simply that. It's not a good sound, or it will be a good sound also, but it's not based upon that. It's based upon the Lord's heart. Kirtan manifests from the Lord's heart and reflects through the loving hearts of his pure devotees, so the Lord can relish the various moods which he wishes to relish, with music, dance, etc. Whatever, dramatic. It would be mixed. It wouldn't be like just kirtan. It'd be mixed with recitation and drama, and then kirtan. We see this, you could say, to some degree, maybe imitatory or maybe not so pure, but still very interesting and very enlivening in many ways. In Vrindavan, oftentimes you see these kind of kirtan performances. They're unfortunately mostly by professional personalities who have mature motivations, but the principle is still there. Music, then there's dance, then there's drama, then there's recitation, and then there's relationship with the audience, then more kirtan, and everything's very kind of like orchestrated like that. So it's a full meal. It's not just, one aspect of it. this kirtan, but it was a full perform, full absorption in a particular mood. So that the voice would just be so. They're doing kirtan, and Lord Chaitanya is listening, and he may like or not like. Oh, can you change the lead singer? I don't like the way they sing. Can you stop playing the madanga at a beat? Can you play a different tune? That's the wrong melody, or whatever it is. No, nothing like that. It was just absolutely perfect harmony between the devotee and Lord Chaitanya. From the kirtan, which is manifestation of that pure harmony between the devotees and the Lord. Unfortunately, we're not quite on that platform. Okay. We do not approach Radha and Krishna directly? It's going to tell you first. Does this apply when approaching Lord Jagannath? Well, Lord Jagannath is also very special. As we know, the Lord appears in this age also in two forms, wood and water, Ganga and Jagannath. But to properly approach Lord Jagannath, he reciprocates accordingly. Some devotees approach Lord Jagannath and they think he's Ganesh, they think he's Shiva, they think he's Buddha, different person. So he reciprocates accordingly. For those who want to really understand the Shamsundar form of Lord Jagannath must approach in the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya sees Jagannath as Shamsundar. So if we really want that, then we have to be in the mood of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mood. Otherwise, we'll see him in some other way. Reverential, the Lord of Dwarka, whatever. Which most people see him in the mood of Aishwarya Bhav. We will not ever see him in the full form of Shamsundar, playing the flute, three-harp, full-binding form. That's by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we do have to go through going to, if we're serious, if we're a member of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mood in that way, we go through that right process. Sankirtan, Kirtan. What's next?
I think there's no questions.
He's very keen, isn't he? Yeah. Okay. Well, send me your phone number. Try to, yeah. Offline, send it.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice if somebody wants to study the songs of Narottama Das Thakur for attaining for his prema? Better ask one's guru. I mean, you can study anything, but to attain prema, it's not something you can get from mechanical efforts. It's divine mercy of the Lord. We can progress. We have to hear those. Prabhupada himself, of course, we hear from Gokishore Das Babaji or something. Gokishore would just carry this, what's it called? Prema Chandrika, or whatever it's called. Writing of Narottama Das and some of the songs, and we have many songbooks of Narottama Das also, Prarthana and so on, of Narottama, which are so ecstatic. But the essence of the ecstasy given through the songs of Narottama Das, it is a process, it is a means of gradual growth. And we have to know where to start. I would say the first thing would be finding out where to start, where we're at, what stage we're on, and understanding from that stage. And it's better to see ourselves on a lower platform than we probably think we are, so we don't make a mistake. Better to start there and you'll quickly advance to another stage. But the Acharya, the representative of Narottama Das, has given us, you could say, the actual ras, the actual juice, the nectar within these songs, writings of the Narottama Das and other great acharyas of the past, in their presentation. We can't jump over. It's not with the writings of previous acharyas are perfect and complete, but we cannot jump over over the present, like Prabhupada many times mentions, over the present acharyas. So we take the guidance from our acharyas, our gurus, whatever authorities or sangha we're in, to take advice there. So to give a general directive on that would not be appropriate, other than to say it's best, even like taking bath in Radhakund or any of these various activities which are recommended in different places. Prabhupada has recommended we read the writings of other acharyas in different places, but there's a means of approach which has to be correct. Everything is the means of approach. How we approach kirtan, how we approach devotees, how we approach the preaching of Krishna consciousness, how we approach the writings of previous acharyas, because they won't reveal them. You can read it, but they won't reveal themselves unless we approach in the right way, with the right attitude, etc., etc. So take shelter of one's guru, one's acharya, and his representatives, and to take advice therein in one's sangha, whatever that may be, hopefully a good one. To take advice, otherwise, just we have plenty to absorb ourselves in. Srila Prabhupada has given oceans, and he's given us Narottama Das's book, songs. He himself used to sing them a lot, so we can sing them even if we don't understand the meaning, because our acharyas have basically asked us to sing them. We can sing these songs, learn how to sing them, learn the meanings, and try to just be a little meditative on the meanings of the songs. Many of Lord Narottama Das songs, for instance, deal with the Guru, Gauranga, and then Krishna. We'll start with the Guru song. We may, in the public, we may sing other songs with devotees, but personal meditation, start with Guru, Gauranga, and Krishna. Quite simple. Quite simple. There are many songs of Narottama Das. You may not have seen them. There are countless songs. Well, there are countless, but there are many. And it's nice to start off at the lotus feet and move up the body. When we approach something, we start with humility at the lotus feet. Same with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs. Depending on what level we're on. So you find that out from your guru. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, well, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to finish there for this morning. Thank you all very, very much for your association. Hari Bol. You got that phone number there? It's lazy. Not that much. Okay, we wish you all the very best. Have a great week, glorifying the Lord through the performance of these festivals as given by his pure devotees who know how to do it. Just follow in their footsteps and try to absorb ourselves in making a wonderful festive occasion, attracting to all those around us as well. And Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. We'll finish with a little kirtan. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm testing you. Now I want you to tell me, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong there? Many things actually, but what was visible? Yes, I didn't chant Panchatattva Maha Mantra. Just testing you. Of course, one of the reasons is we have so many beautiful tunes nowadays, and sometimes it's hard to sing. And then when you sing the Panchatattva mantra in a different tune, you can't remember the tune you were trying to sing. So we're more focused on the tune than we are on the name of Krishna sometimes. But because we're in public, to capture the audience, sometimes tunes are maybe not according to the heart of the Lord, they're according to the minds of the situation we're in, to attract people to at least join in. So we're going to sing Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Now let's see if we can get back to the other tune. Who can remember it? Can you remember it? Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All together now. Hare Krishna, louder. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. All together. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Bolo, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare together, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Nityananda Ram Jaya Nityananda Ram 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Go Premanandi Shubhopari Puja. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you all so much, and we really wish you all the best and hope to see you again sometime in the not too distant future, online, but also we could say physically or personally, whatever you want to call it. Keep chanting, and everything's in Krishna's hands. Have faith in the holy name. Everything has its reasons, and the reason is because what we need to surrender more to the lotus feet of Guru Gauranga. Krishna allows these things to happen. It's for a positive reason. Try to take shelter of the lotus feet of Guru Gauranga, and everything will be really good. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, everyone. Thank you so much. We're not plugged in. We just survived.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Bol,
Maharaj, Hare Bol.
everybody,
Krishna,
wherever you
Hari
are.
Bol.
Hare
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare
Maharaj.
Keep
Hare
chanting.
Krishna Maharaj.
Krishna.
Guru Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Online tomorrow. I've got a Zoom class tomorrow. I don't know if you want to join us. Traffic, we'll put the details out.
I never stopped myself. Never. I just kept going. No matter what.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
I stay overnight. I go walk down the beach, and I'm walking out the beach, counting my rounds and that. And on the way back, I cry the whole way. Very strong on that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hari Bol.
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hari Bol, Nitai. Nitai. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Nitai is in Sydney. Hari Bol.
I'm at work. Hare Bol, Prabhu.
Maharaj.